Hi friends. Did you just lick the mug? Did you? Welcome to Wild Cottage in Ireland. I'm Susan. This is Shep. He's a retired sheepdog. And this is going to be knitting podcast number 3. Yeah, it's been a while. And I suppose it's definitely been over a month since I last podcast. So I have several finished objects. I have works in progress to show you. I'm going to divide the podcast into sections. I'm going to try to do timestamps, so fingers crossed. And so I forgot my notes. I'll go get my notes. Just a minute. Okay, we're back. I grabbed my notes. Yes, so I'm going to do my best to divide the podcast up into segments. So we'll have, showing off my finished objects, what I'm working on, works in progress. And I will also have a section that I'll probably call, ooh, shiny, because you know yourself, there's always something exciting or beautiful or interesting going on that you see, whether it's a make-along you want to enjoy, a new pattern, new yarn, this sort of thing, podcasts. So I thought I'd mention some of those things. And the podcasts, I'm going to mention 1 or 2 podcasts, and I'm focusing on ones that sort of, don't really have much more than 1,000 subscribers, just because I'm thinking that the big ones you probably know about. So I'm going to try to mention 1 or 2 that I'm enjoying as well. Okay, so suddenly I've got really nervous. That's funny. Don't know why. Maybe because I haven't done this for a while, but that's strange. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee and pause, and I will start. Actually, do you know what it is? It's because I have notes. I feel like I'm giving a presentation rather than just talking to friends with notes. Because always when I'm just chatting to you in all the other videos I've made, I just feel like I'm talking with friends and I've never really had notes. So yeah, so I'm going to put the notes out of my sight, which means I'll probably forget things. But yeah, sure, I can do them another time, or I can just add them in later. I can stitch the podcast together. I probably haven't podcast for about 6 weeks. Some of you, that have, welcome to returning viewers. Oh, you're so welcome. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you came back. And new viewers, if you're viewing this for the first time, you are so welcome. And I really hope you enjoy it. And if you do, I'm going to say the thing everybody says and I don't like saying, and I don't think anybody likes saying it, but please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. So I really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm just going to start with what I'm wearing. This is the Oak Shawl, or the acorn oak shawl, I've been calling it. It's not a pattern, it's just something I've been making out of handspun, all Irish fibers, and some that I've dyed myself out of oak leaves. And I'm making this shawl as part of the LostWordsMAL, the Lost Words Make-Along. And that is based on, or inspired by the Lost Words book by Robert McFarlane, and illustrated by Jackie Morris. And Sarah, who is a podcast and is on Instagram as Fiber Trek, had the idea to do a make-along, being inspired by some of the words in this book and or the second book that's come out. I'm not sure if I talked about this. So the Lost Spells. I might have talked about this and just never uploaded it, because I did a lot of that. And in this book, in the Lost Words, there's the word acorn, and in this book there is the fox, but there's the word oak as well. But I'll just show you some of these illustrations. So they're really, really beautiful. So I decided I would join that make-along and make a shawl out of all Irish fibers. And I'll just show you, I've just made a triangle shawl, so I'm just knitting and increasing every other row. Very simple, very meditative and easygoing. Great for evening knitting. You know, my brain doesn't work very well in the evening, and so it's super for that. So this is out of Zwartblas, Ireland. My friend Suzanna. This is from her sheep, and this is their natural color. This is, so her farm is in County Kilkenny. You may know it as, she has a big following on Twitter and YouTube. I think she has some, well, she puts YouTube videos up all the time as well, little clips of farm life. Zwartblas, Ireland. And her farm is Black Sheep Farm. You may know it as that from her book, Bodacious the Shepherd Cat, which is a great book. Anyways, so she gets this she has this spun in a local mill there in County Kilkenny, Cushendale Woolen Mill. It's a traditional woolen mill. It's been there there's been one there since the monks in the 1200s. And then it didn't operate for, you know, quite some time. And then a different family took it over, and they are many generations there now spinning, and it's a wonderful mill. So they spin her wool. This next little section is some that I dyed with oak leaves, a little bit of oak leaves and some oak bark, and also then I saddened it with a bit of iron. And this is a traditional Irish breed. Well, no, it's not a traditional Irish breed. It's a traditional breed, but I don't think it was traditionally in Ireland like the way the Galway sheep was. But this is a Ryland, so it's a heritage breed. Sorry, that's the word I wanted. And I just striped that in there to break up this part, because I had a full skein of Susanna's wool, and it was 200 meters. It was the biggest skein probably that I had. Pardon me. And her wool it's definitely a rustic wool. Now, I can do that with it. It's no bother. And obviously I'm roasting, so I just have on a tank top. This is not bothersome to me, but it is a more rustic wool. But yeah. So you would probably want to feel it for yourself if you are not certain about rustic wools. It's a very good value wool. It's the 200 meters in this skein, and the skein is, I think, just a little over 10 euros. It was 10 euros. They might have gone up now. Just a little bit though. So that's really wonderful. This is a farm yarn spun in a very special woolen mill, and it was only 10 euros. Okay, surprise! I've decided that I'm going to not wear the oak shawl because I want to show you it, and I'm really nervous that I'm hitting the mic and it's making a lot of noise. So I thought I would just wear the Rectangulum Wrap. I just wanted to show you. That's, I can't remember now. The last time you saw it, I was where the Progress Keeper is. So I think this is the amount that I did. And it's just a simple wrap. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I will link to that. I've knitted it out of Cascade 220 non-superwash in grey and Fairy Realm Yarns, her mohair and silk lace weight in the colorway Wolfpack. And I held those together. And it is so soft. I really love that Cascade 220, the non-superwash, because you can spit splice. I like to spit splice, people. So, because I'm lazy. And yes, so I do that. And it's just really super duper soft, and it's not expensive. So this is just, oh my goodness, it's so silky. So with the Rectangulum Wrap, what you do is you put some buttonholes in, and then you can wear it different ways with the buttonholes. I've gotten the buttons. The cottage is small. I tried to get organized, and I organized the buttons away somewhere. And where are they? I have no idea. Light, kind of silvery color, small enough to go into the little buttonhole. So that's my rectangular wrap, and I'm quite warm, which is why I have a tank top on, but my shoulders will be a bit chilly, and I'm not trying to flash all the flesh. So that's why I put the wrap back on. So that's the Rectangulum, and I will link to the pattern in the show notes. So now I will talk about my oak shawl. So I don't think I'll be making a lot of noise with it. So next we come to two sections of Irish alpaca, and they're both natural colors. The first one, the dark brown, is spun by Sandra King of Meet the Wool. And actually all these yarns I'm talking about, if you're interested, you can get them on the irishfibercrafters.com. This is Irish alpaca, hand spun by Sandra of Meet the Wool. And I think there was about 70 meters of that maybe. And then another bit of Irish alpaca, it was about 160 meters. This is hand spun by Sabine of Back to the Source. Again, Irish alpaca, it was about 160 meters, so there's more of that. Then I came to my skein of the Ryland Irish wool mill spun. And I think that was 80 meters or so. And I knew that I would be adding some more light colored. I'll talk about that in a sec. So I just added another dark stripe. This is actually my hand spun. This is a Jacob wool. This, I want to mention too, this Ryland wool, if you saw my video on Vlogmas where I went to the Irish Fiber Crafters studio and shop when they were still allowed to be open, because we're in lockdown. If I hadn't said this, we're still on lockdown since after Christmas, and we probably will be to March on level 5 where nothing is open, only essentials. So yeah, and you can only go 5 kilometers from your house unless you need to buy food or medicine or such. So yes, but if you saw the Vlogmas where I did that, I think it's called like Seaside Village and something like that. And you'll see a hand knitted Aran jumper out of this. And the stitch definition is amazing. It's a great yarn for that. It is a rustic yarn. It's not as rustic as the Zwartblas. And I found, particularly when I started knitting it up, it felt less rustic than it did in the skein, and then after you wash it, it fluffed up as well. So I'd say, I suppose if you're used to merino, this is more scratchy, but I don't find it scratchy. Definitely, I wouldn't. This is probably that bit more prickly and rustic. But anyways, so that's just an aside. But it's the only thing that's a shame about shopping. Well, not the only thing, but it's wonderful to be able to buy yarns online, but you can't squish them and feel exactly what they feel like. So anyhow, so that was some hand spun Jacob that I've added in. And this section, which isn't quite showing up so well, the very lightest section is my hand spun, some of my early hand spun. And that is, I dyed with just the oak leaves and bark without the iron added to have the lightest color. And then I saddened this yarn after dyeing it with a bit of iron in the dye pot as well to just make, I don't know if the light will show in here, make that little bit of difference. But it made a very large shawl. It's kind of like a slanket, a stealth blanket shawl. I'm only 5'2", so it's not super duper big. But I love it, and I've been wearing it all the time out on walks and draped over, my lap when I'm sitting and it's chilly. So yeah, I super duper love that. And I love this too. I finished this quite some time ago. I just haven't woven in the ends and I haven't put on the buttons. And also it's a bit more of a, sort of an elegant shawl. I mean, maybe not like that, but when you button it, it can be really nice. So I just haven't gone out anywhere, so I probably haven't had the motivation to fix it. But I'm going to start to make a mending basket or an unfinished basket, and that's going to go in it. But it is super, super, super soft. So those are two of my finished objects. I have more. So I have done a pair of slippers out of my hand spun. So the Soulful Spinner is doing a knit along. Pardon me. Let me have a sip of my coffee. Oh, I just mentioned my mug. This is such a beautiful mug that my friend Suzanna, again, Zwartblas Ireland, that's why you hear me talk about her so much, is because, yeah, we're pretty involved in some ways because we go farm sit for her. and I've helped her lamb and all that. So I'm kind of involved in the farm. The clip that you see at the beginning of this video is Tom and I on a farm sitting visit. You know, when people used to go places and she had to go places, we would come and stay at our farm for however many days was needed, or weeks or whatever. And yeah, so that was at lambing time. Oh, so that's why you hear me talk about her a lot, because, you know, I use a lot of her wool. I love her sheep. I love her. Anyway, so this is her Christmas gift to me. And this is the Irish potter. And the name of the potter seems to be, there is ceramic fish. I'll ask Suzanna again and put it in the drop down bar. Right underneath the video, there should be like a little arrow, and you can press that and drop down and have all the information. So I'll link that there. Look how amazing. Really, really creative and vibrant. And I adore vibrant colors. And I also love the kind of like autumnal foxy colors. Yeah, I like all the colors. But like personally, if I'm going to put something on my body, or the things that make me most excited straight away tend to be vibrant or foxy kind of colors. And so this is like, I love the little legs on it. It's a little tripod. Anyways, that was a segue. So I have made slippers for the first time ever. Even before I even successfully finished a pair of socks, or even a sock, I made these slippers out of my handspun, because I thought that looks really fun. I could use some more slippers, and yeah, the yarn was bulky, so I knew it'd be pretty easy to handle. And so this slipper, so they're the Mukluk slippers. And I was telling people, because people were asking about the pattern, and I said it's the Mukluk slippers by Knitting Pure and Simple, because that's what was on the pattern. But I think it's actually Debbie someone, and again, I'll link all this, and I'll probably put it on the screen. And I think the title of the pattern was like 116 Mukluk slippers, if you're looking for it on Ravelry. It's a paid for pattern. And I had no problem. I think it was $7 or euros. I can't remember what it came up on the screen as, dollars or euros, which I felt was worth it for me as someone that had never made a sock or a slipper. So I needed some help, and I just loved the little rolls. And it tells you how to do the shorty version or the longer version. And as I had, this is Jacob. This is actually Irish Romney that I got from the farm. I got the sheep. I got the fleece from the farmer. I got lots of fleeces from this farmer who no longer is having these Romney sheep. His Romney sheep, they were some of the best ever. Anyway, so yeah, we went down as Irish fiber crafters, and we got a bunch of fleeces, and I got a bunch of fleeces. And so I washed it and carded it and then spun it and knitted it into this sock. And it's really nice. I really love a good Romney. I think it's soft. I mean, it's not like merino, but I think that a good Romney fleece, you know, each individual sheep is different. And his flock, the way he bred them, they were really good fleeces. This is 2 balls of each, but I wasn't sure how far they'd go. So I decided to make mismatching slippers. And actually, you'll see that's a theme coming up. So I love it. I've been wearing them loads. So the bottom is starting to felt that little bit, which is probably good, you know. But yeah, so I recommend this pattern. I mean, if you just know how to knit slippers, I don't know if you really need a paid for pattern. But if you're like me and you've never really done much knitting or sock knitting, yeah, I was able to knit it. You know, the first one I kind of struggled a little bit, because I was kind of like, what? Because I'd never done anything like that before. So it was a challenge to make my brain think that way. But it didn't take me too long. And I knit the second one definitely with confidence, and I would definitely make more. All right, so what else have we got? So that I made. Oh yes, I'll show you. I can't remember if I showed you the finished shawlette, but I made a little Christmas shawlette. And I was going to embroider little snowflakes and holly berries on it. Like that. That was just a test to see could I even embroider, and to see if when I washed it, would the red run into the white? And it didn't. It was great. This is a mini Christmas set from Crafternoon Treats, and the dye didn't come out at all. And I know sometimes the red can do that. So that was great. I was going to embroider the little snowflakes on, but then I decided not to do that because I put this on. I told Tom to wear it one time when we were out for a walk. And I won't put it on because I'm probably going to hit this. And it fit him really well. It was nice to just keep his neck warm. So I thought, I won't put the snowflakes on it so it can just be, then it wouldn't be quite so wintry and Christmassy, and he could wear it kind of at any point when it's chilly. So that is finished. I even wove in the little ends finally. So yes, so that was a finished object. And oh, I would just like to talk about one other finished, well, some of it's finished, but it's a work in progress. So my friends at Irish Fibre Crafters, ideas to help connect people that are feeling at a loss because, say, like a loved one is in hospital or they're in care, and you know, we can't see these people right now. And I'm feeling this personally, you know, with my loved one in the States, and now I'm feeling it with our good friend and his partner. And yeah, so it's hard. 10 years ago or so, another crafty friend of mine, Roisin from Creative Dynamics, was making these little hearts, and she would send them to whoever you wanted. And I thought that was great. And I had her send them to my mom when my mom was still alive. And of course, my mom loved that. And then when my mom was dying, I went over and I cared for her. And there, you know, she had the hearts there. She kept the hearts in her room and all. And it just meant a lot. And so after she died, you know, the hearts were extra precious to me. They were like even more of a link. So I thought, why don't we make hearts and give them, you know, to the person who's in, you know, the situation where they have to be separated, and the loved one or ones that are thinking about them, and they can feel that connection. So the other girls in the group loved that idea. So that's what we're going to do. And we're all going to make them in our own different ways. So some will be crocheted, some will be wet felted and sewn together, and some are super, like the ones Sandra Marshall is doing with Karen, who's sewing them together, or some of them are really kind of fancy, and they've got little beads and stuff, and wow. But mine are needle felted, and mine are like, I do kind of a rustic folk art style of craft, and that's what mine are like. And I like my things to be really squishy and soft. So I'm making little needle felted hearts. The thing about them is, because they're fuzzy, they don't show up so well in pictures and on the internet, because you can't see the little indents as much, or some you see too much. I don't know. But you get the idea. So it's kind of hard to hold them up. So I'm using different fibers that I have. I should probably close. There we go. So I've started making those. I have some in, this one is, there it is. This is not quite finished. I have to fix it. But this is out of, again, this is Irish wool, and it's naturally dyed. No, is this naturally dyed? I think it is, from cochineal. And so I have a couple different shades of pink that I'm doing and making those. And I have this set of 3 that is going to go to the friends that I was talking about here in Ireland. So that's going to go out to the little pouch. I just have these pouches personally. That's not going to be probably a normal thing, because basically what is like, one person takes one heart, one person takes the other, and you can just put it in your pocket, or you can put it by your bedside or in your purse or whatever. But for this group of 3 people, I'm just going to give them each a little pouch in case they want to carry it somewhere. And the 3 are all together at the moment. So they're all in there, you know, filled with love and good wishes and care and all those sort of things. And then they will take each one and carry it around, and it'll just be sort of a physical, I'm getting emotional. It'll just sort of be a physical reminder of that bond. Finished object is, I'm so excited. I made my first pair of socks ever. So they are like fraternal twins, as people have said, or Franken socks, because so I started with one pattern, and then for the second sock I did a different pattern because I'm a very new sock knitter. Let me just show you. So this is my first sock. So I started off with just some Fairy Realm Yarns mohair in the You're Making Me Blush colorway. And then I went to the 20-gram mini. That's obviously lace weight. The rest are all fingering weights. This is called Cherry Blossom Lane. And this was a 20-gram mini. And then I did the toe in Fairy Realm Yarns. She had a sparkle micro mini pack where they're 10 grams each. And I used that for the toe. Now, because I wasn't certain how much yarn would I use, in hindsight, I realized that so one 20-gram mini and one 10-gram mini will actually do me. I don't need to use the cuff, make the cuff out of something else. And the pattern for sock 1, I used Judy from the Autumn Acorn, and she's so nice. I like her podcast, and she's got I'll put that in the Ooh Shiny section. She's got something else I really want to make. So this is her magic heel sock pattern. And I have to say, the bonus for this, for me, was the fact that I went all the way through to the toe. Like I made the whole thing. I've never made a whole sock before. I've always fallen at the hurdle of the heel flap because I probably was doing it too far in the evening when my brain doesn't work that well, and I just kept messing up. And believe me, I've tried 4 different times. Anyway, so the bonus of this pattern for me was that I made a whole sock and I was thrilled. Now, there is a challenge in this pattern for me because, so my foot is kind of wide. And so here's the sock on my foot. Do you see that part there? That's kind of the heel. But I felt like it, that's not very graceful, is it? The heel part didn't quite go up far enough. And along this part here, now that I'm stretching out like that, it looks fine. But it felt like there was a little too much fabric across this top here. I think this is your instep. This is something else. It's the top front of your ankle, I guess. There's a little excess fabric there, but I felt like across my instep and the heel part, there should be a bit more fabric. It just didn't fit my personal foot. And because I'm not an experienced sock knitter at all, I don't understand yet what I could do to make that a bit better fit. I feel like it would be quite simple to just, do something a little different, like adding in stitches somewhere or starting a repeat or doing this part longer. I just don't know what that is yet. But it was such a blessing because I finished a sock and I did the toe. I do my socks. Sounds like, because I do a lot of socks. But I will do a lot of socks. But all on a 9-inch circular. The whole thing, the toe and everything. I have small hands. It's not a problem for me. So this was a big success for me in a lot of ways. And I think that I will try it again when I understand a bit more about sock knitting, where I can make it fit my foot a bit better. It was really fast to knit. Obviously, it was, not all complicated. And it gave me the confidence then to say, do you know what? I'm going to try a traditional type sock. So this one, again, so all these 2 socks are all the Fairy Realm Yarn minis that I had. This was one of her, micro mini sparkles. And this one is called Hello. that colorway is Hello. And I used it. I actually had a little bit of this color left, a little small. Pardon me, I have another sip. I'm talking so much. Okay, so where was I when I had a tickle? I was showing you the yarn. So yeah, so I had about a gram or so left over even from that. Okay, so I've just had so many dry tickles there. You know, because you don't see anybody. I see Tom and we have a chat, but you know, I haven't talked this long at once for who knows how long. So my throat is like, what are you doing? Okay, so here we go once again. So I'm going to put this sock on. Now, the pattern I used for this was the Crazy Sock Lady's Vanilla Sock for 9-inch circulars. And she has the online YouTube tutorial, which I found really good. Now, I found it good, but I have to say for other people, I know a lot of my viewers, we've talked about it together in the comments. A lot of you are beginning knitters as well, or you haven't really done socks much. So I just want to say this for you guys, stick at it, because the Crazy Sock Lady's 9-inch circular pattern, I tried that. That's the main one I tried, and I tried that at least 3 times and ripped back because I just kept getting stuck. It was just because, you know, I think it's particularly with the fibromyalgia brain. My brain used to work a lot better, and it doesn't quite the same anymore. Like, you know, by the late afternoon, it starts to get tired. And I probably should have just always done this, you know, earlier in the day. But anyway, I'm just saying that to just keep at it, because after I did the Magic Heel sock, and I guess I was just feeling more confident, and also I was like, I'm not going to do this past, you know, 5 p.m. And I just followed along, and it was a total success. Also, what helped me is that I also watched Simply in Stitches, Tina. She has a lot of older tutorial videos as well for socks, and she does her sock all on 9-inch circulars, the way that I do, the way that I did the Magic Heel sock. And so I knew I could do the toe and everything on 9-inch circulars. And Tina does the whole sock on 9-inch circulars, whereas with the Crazy Sock Lady, she does her toe like on DPNs or Magic Loop or something. So I watched Tina's tutorials where she's doing a different pattern, but it's really kind of, she's taking you through in real time in a very slow follow along manner, and giving you little tips along the way about, oh, if you've dropped this stitch, or if you have too many stitches, you know, it's okay. And I just found that additional reinforcement really helpful. So I went back to the Crazy Sock Lady's pattern and followed along and did it with the Crazy Sock Lady, watching her tutorial and doing the things, and I was successful. I mean, I made some mistakes because I realized that, you know, like I had one idea in my head for some of the rows and the pattern said something else, but not enough that it made any difference. And I'll put this sock on, and this sock fits me really well. I mean, it feels super duper comfortable. If you have a partner or family member or friend, and they're coming in right now while you're watching this, they're probably, what on earth are you watching? So crazy. Anyway, you know, don't give up. I started to learn to knit right after the West Cork Yarn Festival of 2019, and it took me so long to have it sink in, the basic knit and purl, even to make the even making, oh God, and I can't even think of the thing now. What's the thing you do when you cast on? The slip knot. Slip knot? That's what it's called. Even to make that stick. I mean, it literally took me so long. And it wasn't until I started following on Craftsy, I did Susan B. Anderson's startup series of Learn to Knit. And that was helpful, but I had to keep looking at it over and over and over again. But I managed to make the mitts. And then I managed to, I saw one of the balls that makes a hat at Aldi or Lidl, and the pattern is in there. So in November, we went to the States and I started knitting that on the plane. And for a couple of days I was knitting on that. Like, it took me ages. And I made a hat for Tom. I'll put a picture in. So I don't know if, it's probably my gauge or whatever, but like it's, this is really big. Oh, so, and of course it's acrylic, so you can't shrink it. But anyway, so that was my first or my second finished object, and the first finished object I ever made where I wasn't following along in a tutorial. And so I finished that, I don't know, maybe December or January of 2020. After a while, I made cows and some things, and I was like, okay. And I tried socks, and I tried Denise Earth Tones Girls tutorials, and she does 2 different ways with 2 circulars or magic loop. And she was really good tutorials, very clear. And I was trying that, but it just, for my brain at the time, it was just too much. I couldn't, it was too much. I couldn't, yeah. So I put sock knitting down for quite some time. And then for whatever reason, I picked it up again, but I said, I'm going to try the 9-inch circulars. And that just worked for me. But there were still tears. There were many times ripping back. So all in all, I've probably ripped back socks 8 times. And now this section here is just me finally being successful. Completed a pair of socks. And those socks are what has inspired me to go ahead and really go for it. Was the Rainbow Sock Chronicles 2021, that's So Sweet Violet. And I think Lay Family Yarns is also, they're doing this together, this make along. So, and each month has a different color, and January was light Next pink. Month is dark pink or red. And so there are the rainbow colors, and then you have some free months where you pick whatever color you want. So I thought I'd show you my colors for February. And I have this in my Jibby Roo Sews bag. I'll put see there. And I really like this bag. I love 101 Dalmatians. So I'm of an age that came out when I was small, I guess. So I'm 55. And I've just loved it ever since I was eeny weeny. I can't remember ever not loving it. And this is the artwork from that original movie, the Pongo and Perdita and all. And there's Lucky. I'm pretty sure that one with the 2 black ears is Lucky. And of course, dog hair is on it from my dogs. But anyway, so it's a nice, good size little bag, and it's a zip. And zips aren't my favorite because I get my yarn caught in them. But, zips are good for other reasons as well. So I just have to be careful. But it folds down and it sits. So, and I also got from her this little doggy pouch. And I find her bags, they don't have a pocket or anything, but they're quite reasonable price. I think this was under 20 euros. Anyhow. So I find this really good just for putting the 2 little sock yarns in. So for like a single sock will fit in that. But let me show you my colors. So these 2 are from my Advent that I have either showed you already, or I probably show you towards the end for people that are interested in seeing other people's yarns. So these are from Felt Fusion from my Advent. And they're not quite so, neon as they look there. And they're not quite as similar as they look there. 20 gram skeins of superwash merino and nylon. And I think they're 85 meters in this one. But I'm going to pair them up with some little minis that I got and a grab bag from Yarn Unique, I believe it was. So 10 gram minis. So I'm going to put this together. So that should be one sock. And then look at this. There we go. That's the second, and it'll go with that. So I'm super excited. I'll wind those up in a ball. I don't have a yarn swift or anything. I enjoy winding it, and I just don't, that's not where I want to put my money. I want to put my money in yarn. So, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I'm looking forward to doing those in February. Okay. So many little birds there down